It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Yes, on the show today, the world is celebrating a young Indian teenager who has claimed the World Chess Championship by dethroning China's Ding Liren. India proving to be the powerhouse of chess. How did Gukesh do it all? Fight above the odds and emotional turmoils to come out victorious. Who in his corner helped him in his hour of need? I'll tell you more on that. Also, why is Russia upset? Russian chess greats have questioned India's win. Is this a case of being threatened by India's rise in chess? And we get to prominent voices talking about what this win means for India and what will its impact be on India's young sports lovers. Over in cricket, the Indian men's team is under pressure. They face a buoyant Australian side in a must-win match at their Fortress Gabba in Brisbane. Can the two senior players who are facing the heat, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, pull off an inspirational win? What did Virat Kohli say to his teammates in that long pep talk? All of that heading your way. But first, a look at the headlines. Starting with cricket, Jason Gillespie has stepped down from his role as Pakistan's Test team coach. Gillespie, after that Test series win over England, in fact, had said that his role had been curtailed and he had no say in team matters. This follows PCB not renewing the contract of high-performance coach Tim Nielsen. The PCB has named former Pakistan pacer Aqib Javed as the interim Test coach. Over in football, Serbia football has been hit with a partial stadium closure for their upcoming two matches over their fans' behavior. Last month, Serbian fans displayed racist and discriminatory taunts and damaged the stadium during their 1-all away draw against Switzerland. Serbia have also been banned from selling tickets to their next two away matches by UEFA. Manchester United beat Victoria Plzen 2-1 in the Europa League. Victoria's Mate Vedra scored the opening goal just after half-time, but Rasmus Højlund brought United back in the game. The Danish striker scored a brace to seal the match. Former China coach Li Tai has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for bribery charges. The former Everton midfielder was convicted for giving and receiving bribes totaling $16 million. Li was convicted of being bribed to pick certain individuals to the national team. Chinese football has grappled with corruption at least since the late 1990s. And summing it up with news from golf, transgender golf players have been now banned from taking part in any event organized by R&A, Scotland's oldest golf club. It comes after the Ladies Professional Golf Association, or the LPGA, updated their gender policies. As part of new policy, any player who's gone through male puberty cannot take part in women's events. What a historic year it's been for Indian chess, and India's chess star Gukesh has ended 2024 on a high, becoming the youngest world chess champion. Let's let that sink in. It's just been a little over a day. He's become just the second Indian to achieve this feat. He's also surpassed chess legend Garry Kasparov, who held this record for being the youngest when he won this in 1985 at the age of 22. It, of course, took a young Indian to break nearly a four-decade-long record, to break the Russian, the Chinese domination. To think that this same boy, back in 2017, all of just 11-year-old, said this. It almost gives everyone goosebumps when you watch that. At 2017, just 11 years, he says he wants to be the youngest world chess champion, and he does exactly that many years later. It was a moment that was not lost on anyone who's followed this boy's journey from the start and how he has redefined the sport itself. The otherwise composed and calm Gukesh broke down minutes after the win.
Zoom ID, zoom ID. A lot of reflection, yeah.
Just nostalgic moments that the maturity with which Gukesh in fact carried himself right after that win only spoke volumes of how far he's come as a competitor, as a grandmaster, and how worthy he is of all the praise that's being heaped on him at this point. He first set the chessboard all over again, set it up, weeping uncontrollably even as he did it, people coming in and congratulating him, Liren, in fact, sweetly telling him not to cry as Gukesh looks up and smiles, but he continues doing what he is doing, and it seems like the most therapeutic act. He touches the chessboard, thanking the sport for giving him this moment, looks up and thanks whoever his faith has been on. Goes on to then hug his father as both get very, very emotional right after this, and says that even though he's world champion, does Gukesh, he is not anywhere near the greatest in this world.
Becoming the world champion doesn't mean I am the best player in the world. Obviously, there's Magnus Carlsen, and he will always be a motivating factor for me.
He also had a word of praise for his competitor, Ding Liren. The first thing he in fact did after he got away was to speak to his mother. And while chess is still an individual sport, a battle like no other, at the heart of heart, Gukesh is the sum total of the people close to him and who've made him what he is today. His family, of course, comes topmost there.
Sure, I mean, my parents have been the biggest pillars of support right from the start, and I would even say I haven't really sacrificed much personally, but what my parents and my team have gone through is it's much more than I can ever imagine. So I mean, my father almost quit his practice totally. Both being doctors, that's difficult decision to make, and my mother, has to stay away from me whenever we travel, and but she always manages to provide me emotional support.
And slowly his team has only grown. He has had the support, of course, of quite a few people, the heroes who stood tall alongside him and helped him reach this very, very historic win. Let's take a look at who they are. Gukesh had the support of a well-balanced team who've worked with him over the months. The list is full of grandmasters, a young sensation and a world champion. The focal point of Gukesh's team was, of course, Grzegorz Gajewski. He's been Gukesh's trainer for a long time. Radosław Wojtaszek, the Polish grandmaster, of course, joined Gukesh's team right after. In fact, during the candidates, he had the support of Pentala Harikrishna, of course, since candidates as well. Vincent Keimer, another grandmaster, specially joined Gukesh's team for this particular match. Jan Krzysztof Duda acted as a playing partner for Gukesh. The list also, of course, has a 17-year-old international master, Jan Klimkowski, who was assisting Gajewski through the tournament. And one of the most important personnel of this setup, of course, who joined Gukesh not to work on his chess abilities, but on the mental aspect of the sport, was Paddy Upton, the South African mental conditioning coach who has, of course, a habit of winning. He helped India win the Cricket World Cup in 2011, was part of the Indian hockey men's side that won bronze at Paris Games, and now has a World Chess Championship title that he's contributed to. He was clinical in Gukesh's triumph, summing it up with one person who may not have been, of course, there present, but was a mentor and a considerable support system for India's world champion, Viswanathan Anand. These were Gukesh's avengers who helped him win that title, and the world, of course, reacted to this. The current world number one, Magnus Carlsen, didn't shy away from recognizing Gukesh's achievement, even claiming that Gukesh can become world number one in the near future.
There is a very good chance that he is going to go on a great run of results now. Who knows, maybe in the not-so-distant future become the number one.
India, of course, erupted in joy. They have their second world champion, and a younger one at that. And the newly crowned champion even got special praise from India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But there is still one section in the chess world that is not very amused with this. Russia was critical of the World Championship final, even accusing Ding Liren of fixing it.
The actions of the Chinese chess player in the decisive segment are extremely suspicious and require a separate investigation by FIDE. Losing the position in which Ding Liren was is difficult even for a first-class player. The defeat raises a lot of questions and looks like a deliberate one.
Now, I understand that the championship final may not have panned out exactly in the manner that many expected it to. 9 out of the 14 games were drawn. Only 3 had results. 5 had results. 3 won by Gukesh and 2 by Liren. But hinting foul play is discrediting players who have sacrificed so much for years to get to this point. Before the tournament, Liren, for example, wasn't even considered a contender. He was coming on the back of a lengthy mental breakdown, and yet the Chinese managed to fight till the last moment. Yes, he made a mistake in the final. Seems like a very, very, very costly mistake, but enough to say that was that enough to say that that was sabotage is taking a bit too far. If we go by that logic, after Mbappe scored 3 goals versus Argentina in that Football World Cup final, he failed to score just 1. Does this mean France fixed the World Cup? It is sport. Mistakes happen. The pressure gets to even the best. By making the statement, the Russian Chess Federation is not only insulting Liren as a competitor, but also casting a shadow on Gukesh's triumph, saying it was all rigged. A triumph that Gukesh has toiled hard to achieve. And it isn't just the president who's now questioning this final. One of the most recognized voices in chess world, and former world champion also, Vladimir Kramnik, has called this the end of chess. Kramnik, in fact, has been critical of the level of this championship throughout the tournament. Yes, it had become a little slow in between, but here's the thing. Both these players were doing what they thought they needed to in order to win. On one end, of course, we had a youngster on the cusp of glory, and on the other, a world champion who had a point to prove. For both of them, it wasn't about making the tournament exciting, but getting to the other side, to the winning side, however they wished to. And the tournament had its share of moments, right? From that shock loss at the start that Gukesh suffered, the draws after that, Gukesh taking the lead, Liren equalizing it right up to that final game and that final move. The championship final was watched eagerly all across the globe, and unlike what Kramnik says, this is the start of a new chapter, not the end. The Indian dominance. Russia clearly feeling the pinch of FIDE's suspension and threatened by the rise of India as chess's superpower. All I can say is we cannot wait for what 2025 will bring. D. Gukesh with that win, of course, following in the footsteps of India's first world chess champion, Viswanathan Anand, also someone who's been a sort of a mentor and someone in Gukesh's corner for many years now. I had the privilege of speaking to Viswanathan Anand right after Gukesh's victory last night. Here are some snapshots from that, what this win means for India and what he thinks is the best quality of Gukesh, a world champion now. Gukesh, the youngest world chess champion. We're all just letting that sink in. And joining us is another world champion, India's first, and of course has been quite the pride of India, Viswanathan Anand. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Vishi. Just how does it feel for someone who's obviously walked the path yourself to see someone as young as Gukesh follow in your footsteps?
It's huge. First of all, he's not only the second Indian world champion, he's the youngest ever world champion, age of 18. And it's great. When I started working with him about 4 years ago, he was all of 14. But though I realized what a huge talent he was, I would be lying if I said I knew it's going to happen in 4 years. I mean, it's remarkable, the journey and the time he has managed it in.
I think a lot of the calmness that you exude is generic with all chess champions. I see that a bit even when Gukesh spoke to us after that candidate's win. Just what's impressed you most about the way Gukesh has dealt with this, Vishy? Because a world chess championship is not easy. The pressure can get to you, and to do it at such a young age. What's the thing that you think has impressed you most about this campaign of his?
I think it's the total package. You know, you don't become world champion by just doing one thing better than something else. He turned up, he played well, he tried hard, he had heart, he had preparation, he was better in many things. I mean, but also he handled the setbacks well and he stuck to his strategy. His strategy was to keep putting pressure in every game, and he stuck to this no matter what risks that involved. Even in the last two games when it seemed almost that Ding was waiting to go to the tie breaks, Gukesh kept probing here and there. Actually, Gukesh could have won the match yesterday, but that he won today, I think rewards his spirit.
Yes, it's quite the nail biter. Not something that you really have the heart for, but we've all been following it from different parts of the world. What does this really do for Indian chess? What a year it's been, Vishi, and what does this mean for Indian chess? I mean, it was just you at one point, and now it seems like the floodgates have opened.
Look, we knew we were onto a very, very good thing already by last year, that we were going to have this generation of players who are doing so well. But then Gukesh qualified for the candidates, won the candidates, then was part of the Olympiad winning team, and becomes world champion. It's going to be a hard year to top. On top of that, if you just think of how difficult it was for him and then realize that we have 3 or 4 who are just very close to this, then it means also that Indians will have a lot to look forward in chess for the next decade and a half.
Yes, Gukesh, part of that chess's golden generation, as Viswanathan Anand himself says. I caught up with one more member in that very, very strong squad, Vidit Gujrathi. He caught up with us last night and also shared some insights on Gukesh the player. How does he strategize? What's his instinct like off the field, off that chessboard? How does he plan for a tournament like the World Chess Championship? And also gave some lighter moments, as well as spoke about what the world now looks at India as. Vidit, thank you so much. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see a very happy fellow Indian chess grandmaster alongside to take us through this. What does it mean for can you hear me first of all? And
sorry, yeah, now I can hear you. Sorry, now it's
perfect. Thank you, Vidit. You're speaking to Rupha here on Firstpost. Thank you so much. We're all besides ourselves. I'm sure so are you, because I always catch you smiling, even when you're tense and there's a tense atmosphere around you. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but what does this mean for Indian chess? You must be stoked to see something else happen.
Thank you. Actually, I was on the live show when this game was going on, and at some point, I knew that the game was going to end in a draw. Everybody in the world thought the same because 99.99% at the level which the players are, it was going to be draw. So I stopped watching even after a while, and I was thinking about tomorrow. But suddenly I started to get the news that Gukesh won. I was like, no, it cannot happen. It's unbelievable. I checked the game and I realized that Ding made this blunder, and now
Yeah.
it's all just like fresh news for me. But I'm very happy for Gukesh when I try to be in his shoes and think about it, that the age of 18 to become world champion and in such a competitive sport like chess, it's an
Yes,
amazing
and
achievement.
God knows it feels like it's been a lot of watching Gukesh and Lijen get at each other. We all thought the will to take risks would be would not be something that Gukesh could go for, because this is the grand stage and you're doing something. Did he? Was that him going against the grain? Considering you've seen him up close and you've seen how he's played over the years.
Yeah, I think it's ingrained in him. Like he's very competitive by nature, and when he loses, also I've seen it that it affects him. And what I also feel is that the age plays a factor here, because when you're young, you are more willing to take this risk. Like, have you seen a 30-year-old rash drive? But 18 years old, they do it all the time. It's because just how it is, how we are wired. I think that helped him a bit, the age factor. Of course, there is certain naivety also that comes with it, but he had the balance perfectly set. I think his team also deserves a lot of credit for, keeping him, always in the right mindset for the tournament.
It's tough to come up against a feisty opponent and at their fortress. Indian men's cricket team takes on Australia at the Gabba in a must-win encounter. Must win because that's what it will take, a win, to keep their chances of making it to the World Test Championship final alive. And all eyes will be on two men in particular, Rohit Sharma, the skipper, and of course, a former captain himself, and their prolific batter, Virat Kohli. The series somehow feels like the one where Indian cricket is going through a bit of a transition, the handing over of the baton in some sense to the next generation. In Indian cricket, this has always been a rather difficult phase over the many decades that we've watched Indian cricket. The last time MS Dhoni played before signing off in tests was against Australia in Australia, where Virat Kohli was then asked to step up and into those big shoes. It's not easy, particularly for the seniors, to know when to ride out, and especially ride out in full blaze. That's necessary, isn't it? This is not an ode to the two veterans of Indian cricket, not just yet. They still have much fight and much cricket left in them. That's what they believe, and that's what fans want to see. But watching the best batters in that Indian lineup look out of sorts in the most important test series doesn't really bode well for India with this encounter coming up. It just opens doors to uncomfortable questions and conversations and scenarios. The internet, the media here, of course, also in Australia, fans everywhere, critics, commentators have all been talking of India's two stalwarts facing all the heat. Let's take Virat Kohli. He struck a silencing 100 at Perth, but that's been the only spark in this series from Kohli's bat. You got to give it to him though. None of the setbacks really dims his energy, the enthusiasm, or the love and passion that he has to come out and train and go over those rigors day in and out. Work and play hard. Signs of a true champion. So what did Virat Kohli do at the nets leading up to the Gabba test? The entire Indian team, especially the top 6 batters, spent hours batting in the nets, taking turns facing pace, spin and throwdowns. Kohli was his fit, fidgety, energetic best, hopping from one net to the next, There were moments, of course, that he looked like he was struggling, but he was out there sweating it out in that humid, hot Brisbane sun. He, in fact, engaged with the youngsters too, chatted up with them, and then gathered the team around him and spoke to them at length. Everyone was engrossed in what he had to say, including Rohit Sharma. Everyone was all ears, and it's this experience that will play a crucial part in that third test, because he knows what it takes to come out from a difficult situation. He's done that many times in the past. So Virat seems to be in a good space too. He's having fun and he's having some downtime with the family, sightseeing and soaking in the cities without being mobbed. All of that somewhere eases the pressure too. These are positive things to see as they head into what is undoubtedly going to be a high-pressure situation. What about Rohit Sharma? This isn't the same flamboyant Rohit who set the World Cups on fire over the last 1 year and little over that. He's looked patchy here in Australia, and now there are talks of Rohit possibly getting back to open because he did practice against the new ball during the nets. Would that work for him and the team? Because while the bowling has breathed fire, it's the batting that has let India down. Something that the captain is, of course, concerned about too.
When you come to Australia, I feel the best chance of winning a test is by putting runs on the board. We were 30 to 40 runs short with the bat in the first innings. Then in the second innings as well, we thought the conditions were better. But again, we were not good enough with the bat.
India scripted a historic win at Gabba the last time they played here, and maybe that's the image that they need to remember and look to, get inspired by when they take the field tomorrow, because Gabba has not been kind to visitors plenty occasions. It has a history. It's the fortress. This ground has swallowed every opposition that's come up. Josh Hazlewood will be back in the mix in the lineup to try and trouble the Indian batters. Australia head into this face-off, of course, having the upper hand. And it's not just because they have the momentum of that win coming up with them. They know what this win means to India. So they will want to do anything and everything to stop that. Time for last serve. We end the week with some stunning visuals. This is from the Freestyle Kiteboard World Championship that's happening in Qatar. Take a look at the best in the business. Looks like a lot of fun, but that wraps up First Sports here today. I'll of course see you after this weekend. Do have a lovely Saturday and Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.